Welcome back to High View for another casted game at the tippity top level. On the south side in the blue we have Vortix as the Mongols, and on the north side in the yellow, my favourite colour, we have ranked opponent as House of Lancaster, and ranked opponent is Beasty. So this is going to be a top level match, you know, the number 1, 2, 3, whichever number these guys are battling for currently on the ladder. Now, let's talk about this matchup as we watch these guys scouting and trying to find all of the sheep. Especially on this map, it's quite tricky to do that because sheep don't spawn in the stealth forests, and as you'll be seeing as we reveal the mini-map and as we have a little look at it later, the stealth forests in this one spawn a little bit differently to how they used to, because this map, it's had a refurb, it's had a refresh, there's a fresh lick of paint. So previously the markets and the sacred sites used to spawn in all four corners, and then you would know that if you scouted your left side, for example, and you found the market, you knew where all of the other 4 points were because they always spawn diagonally. Now they don't spawn like that, they actually spawn off to the sides. So now we got the markets and the sacred sites together. So really in this case, in this matchup for Vortix, the trade isn't particularly good, but also you'll also see the little point of interest, our little abandoned outpost. So this is a nice little interactive point now. So if you haven't seen it before, where have you been? No, only kidding. So basically you can stick units on this, and then this one works as an outpost, so it just gives you extra vision, which is interesting in this particular matchup because it'll be interesting to see whether Beasty tries to specifically go for this to get vision on the market, so then he knows what's happening with the trade and he can focus his attention elsewhere. We'll have to wait and see. If we take a little look at Vortix's base, we can see from the resources at the top he's not close to an age up because he's gone for the fast pasture, and there's nothing on the Uvu, so we're not seeing any tower rushes, which against an English variant with short bows, you know, I don't think tower rushing is the way to go in particular. But Beasty is aging up and he's going for the Lancaster castle. I think this is going to be pretty standard at this stage. And let's have a look at the position, because obviously he's going to be going for manors. The real question in this matchup and in Lancaster matches in general is how many manors? How greedy is he going to be? This is really the question, and it's interesting. And we can kind of tell from the gold, because he's not on gold, which means he's probably not going to be looking at going for the full 9, because you do have to get the upgrade to get the extra manors. So if we think of this positioning, he is securing that gold for later. Depending on where the manors go, that's also going to give some nice arrow slits around there. It's also securing up these berries in case he needs that extra food. With passive mana food, I think he'll be absolutely fine. And he's securing up the stone, because really this is the problem resource. You always have a safe wood line, so these guys are going to be nice and safe under the TC. It's going to be very hard for Vortix to raid this and deny the wood, but the stone is the issue. So we can see here that Beasty's aging up with 3, which seems to be pretty standard build, I guess, from the build order he released. And we can also see he's got 3 on the stone, so he's going to be able to potentially drop the first mana, if we take a look at the resources, as soon as he hits the age up. So we can see he's on 140 at the moment, and I imagine we're going to be seeing a nice little drop off in a second up to the 200. So pretty sharp little timing there for the first one. But if we take a look at Mr. Vortix, our Spanish bro, he's going for Silver Tree. So we are going to be trading. Now, what's he going to do? Obviously, it's going to be a diagonal trade. I would imagine that he's probably going to go this side, because then he would get more stealth forest and that makes it a little bit harder to deny. Or I guess because he knows Beasty's going to be mana booming, does he really care? I guess that's the question. But the first one is up, and we do already have another villager on gold, so whether he is timing this to get that upgrade in time, it's going to be really interesting to see how he does that, because we've been watching players, and I still think Lancaster has some room to be developed. I know they're strong. I know Reddit's been quite vocal about their thoughts on it, but you know, do you go for 3? Do you add in a town centre? Do you try and go the full 9 so you get the maximum amount from your levy? Because this muster the nobles, if you get all 9 manors and then you get the 2 demi-lancers and then potentially you work towards a castle age, you've suddenly got 11 castle age demi-lancers, because it's really important to remember that the demi-lancers actually get upgraded automatically with age. So if you keep them alive and then you age up, you suddenly have castle units immediately. You're not waiting for upgrades. Vortex now, he's definitely seen the castle. He knows that the manors are booming and he knows exactly where they are. But as they kind of defend themselves, it's not exactly a target at this point. But the silver tree... Okay, so moving over here, not going right into the corner, so pretty close in the base. That, I guess, makes it a little easier to defend this end, but we're going to be seeing this eco building, and I'm interested to see how the Mongol trade boom really fares against the mana boom, because as we all know, the mana boom is very, very strong. Now, if we take a little look over at Vortix's base, he's got a couple of Keshiks just chilling, just hanging around, waiting for some orders. And he's also adding in the pastures, so he's clearly thinking, boom. He can't get the passive wood, but he can get unlimited food under his TC, which is going to be very useful for him. And he can get super good resources from traders as well. So this is going to be good for him. Trying to get a little bit of damage on that wood line, but not quite able to get in. And this is what I was saying about the TC. It's going to be very hard for him to harass this effectively. And Beasty knows what he's doing. A couple of little short walls here. And this is something I noticed that a lot of high level players do. And a lot of us plebs at the lower levels, myself included, don't always remember is with the walls, it's not always about closing the base. Here, this wall here being within the TC range, it forces the opponent to come in. So if the Keshiks decide to raid this, they have to fully commit and get all the way around here. Yeah, they might get some damage, but if Beasty then decides to garrison his TC, then those Keshiks are going to go down. So it has to be a full committal. It's like having spears on your gold vein. You force the knights or the Keshiks to fully commit. And here, how much damage are they going to do? It's going to be Beasty pulling away, eyes in the back of his head like all of these pros, and even the short bows are firing. This is great. So now the Keshik's taking a lot of damage there, not as much as you're used to if you're watching English, but this is really interesting. So in trying to dip in, and Beasty, he is on the ball. Look at those little shots. And this is why I love watching these guys. Vortix actually is one of my favorites to watch because he plays so differently, and obviously Beasty's micro is incredible. So this, I think, for me is just one of those matches where you know they're going to be doing some tricky things with their army. They're going to be making sure they're trying to get as much damage. And look at this charge coming in. Beasty realizes, pulls back and does the shot and takes out a Keshik in the mix. That now is a lot of value there because these two Keshiks are costing resources, but he is on the backside. Vortex getting some damage. Is he going to get the last poke? Oh, he still manages to get it through the villagers. Not sure how he reached that guy, but he is resting in pieces under the castle. And this, I think, is really interesting now. The damage that's being done, is it going to make a difference? We do see the open field system coming in, which is going to increase the build limit of the manors by 3. So we can already see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming down, and so it looks like Beasty is going full boom. And if we take a little look over on Vortix's side, we can see he's got 7 traders in so far, and each of these is getting 62 plus the extra food, because obviously we have the silk trade network. I can't actually see it on this interface, but trust me, the more traders he gets extra bonuses like food and stuff like that. So now the Keshik's trying to keep on top of the trade, make sure he defends this. So Vortix not collecting this outpost, which I think actually would be very good for him. So I do think maybe he wants to think about that, but it might be doing it for a reason, because I'm not sure if it's like a sacred site. Does it ping up on the map? This is something you've got to be careful of. Like once a sacred site's been clicked once, anything that stands there gives them vision. So he's might be trying to be a little bit cheeky, but Beastie scouted it. He knows where the trade is. He knows what's happening. We've got arrow slits coming up for Vortix. We can see he's starting to try and put some towers in. Let's see where those bad boys are. There we go. So he's getting those in to try and defend the trade. And the arrow slits, even if they can't do damage, this is also really good because they give you a ping every time they shoot. So like that, bing bing, now they guys know where it is, and that's how they keep on top of it. We've got the Demi Lancers coming in. He's gone for 10, so he's popped it just before the final ones come in. So it looks like he's missed out on one Demi Lancer there, but how do these guys compare? So if we look at the Keshiks, we're 145 with 15 damage and 23 charge. If we take a little look at these guys, 140, 8 and 16. So the damage and the armor is not so good, but they are very, very cheap. They're not free, but I think it's about 600 resources. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. There's too many upgrades to remember with these two new civs, but they are very good. Now, Beastie's going to have to be careful to keep them alive, because like that, you can see they are very squishy against these Keshiks. And now Vortix pulling out, this is where he's got to try and keep these guys alive. If he can find a nice little wood segment to go and heal these up, because obviously Keshiks heal up every time they hit something, I think that would be pretty good for him. So maybe Beastie's building him a little Keshik hospital over here where he can tap his way back up to full health. But Beastie going for the fast castle. Demi Lancers, no units yet to defend, and he's going mass stables, so he's not going yo to the Yeomen. It looks like we're going to be seeing some knights and potentially hoblars, so he definitely wants that mobility, which in this matchup, it makes perfect sense. Mongols are known for the mobility. They love Keshiks, they love Mangadai. If you play against them, you hate Mangadai, and you know, as you all know my feelings of Mongols, we're not going to go into that. But if we take a little look at this landmark is incredible. It's so good. The research, the special texts you get inside it are, no, they're very specific, they're very situational, but the 15% reduction to all technologies, that's massive. And Beastie saved most of his military techs there. You can see he's getting a couple in, but the level 2 techs and even the Imperial ones, that's going to make a big difference. Hello, Beastie. I think we might have done this prematurely. Did you want to finish the landmark? Don't think so. And we've got a load of scouts. Is he pro scouting? No way. Okay, we're going for a Lancaster 9 mana pro scout boom. Okay, cool. It's not a build I've seen before, and I love to see it. As we can see on Vortix's side, the Kurultai is coming in built just inside the base as well, and we all know the Kurultai, amazing landmark, healing and all of those other good things, so an extra damage. This, interestingly enough, is exactly the same buff you can get as the Templar, but only on sacred sites if you go for that third age up option. So, you know, just interesting to keep in mind if you're a Mongol main and you're trying out the Templar and you want to give him a go. But this is what I was talking about before. These Demi Lancers now are castle age, and Vortix has to upgrade these. So for the next 15 seconds, these guys are still feudal, whereas the Demi Lancers are castle. But whether it's going to make a difference, I think the Keshiks are still probably going to take it on, but it is distracting Vortix. He's trying to break down these numbers. He fires off that speed shot, but getting caught on that mini gold vein, the little goldy boy that's going to stop it, running into the defenses, the mana defenses there, and Vortix pulling out just in time. Feels very weird saying that, pulling out. And here we go. We got Collar of the S's. Knights and Demi Lancers get extra armor and they get damage. So that unique unit from the King's College is definitely going to make the difference, because we can see Beastie is going full cav. Look at these boys charging off into battle. Let's bring the interface down so we can just admire it as he charges and gets charged by the Keshiks. I love this in the yellow. It's as a yellow main, I would love to play House of Lancaster. I'm not going to, but because I'm going to be a Templar boy myself. But here we go, idling up that food economy, bringing the interesting choice, putting the Kurultai in the base, because now this TC doesn't have the English mega shots. It's going to mean that the Kurultai is going to keep these guys alive and he can fight. But if we see the ping on the backside, Beastie's now going to be denying that trade, and this is going to cause some problems for him. But here we look. So it looks like actually with those scouts, it doesn't look like Beastie is pro scouting. So I assumed he was doing that, but he's not. So whether it's just because of the stealth forest, he wants to make sure he's got extra vision, which definitely would make sense on this particular map. So it's interesting seeing so many scouts popping out at the same time. And but Beastie's got a plan. He's cooking. He's playing 3D chess, and I'm watching him playing checkers, and that's the way it should be. But we can see now this trade is getting denied. That's a lot of eco damage. These guys going down. Vortex garrisoning them, and the new ones are going to be popping out on top of these Lancers. Lancers. So Beasty focusing on the traders, trying to stop them from getting in because that's a lot of resources denied. These guys trying to sneak through. There we go. So they managed to make it off. That's at least going to be some of those resources back as he is healing up with the Kurultai outside Beasty's base. We can see both players have now secured up one of these outposts, so if we take a little look at vision, we can see that Vortix gets quite a decent amount. He's obviously got these towers as well, but he can see quite a lot now having that outpost. But Beasty walling in on this side. I quite like this, a little mini wall base where he's securing up this food and gold and the stone as he pushes into Beasty's main base. Knights on Keshiks and Demi Lancers as well, healing up on the backside while the Kurultai is there healing. But Beasty's already got 3 relics in the bag as he's been doing this trade. He's been defending the base. He's also been sneaking out and grabbing the relics as well. So the multitasking here is crazy. And we've got crossbows coming in for Vortix. So he's trying to find a counter to these knights. But the crossbow's going to get caught out of position. I don't think this is going to be good. That's going to be some crossbows going down, I think, but the Keshiks are coming in. Is Beasty going to commit? Not quite. So they all do make it out alive, and Vortix is trying to mass up now. He's got a lot of Keshiks in the bank, but these knight numbers are just building and building, and Beasty is on top of it. A scout going down. These guys remembering their A move, you know, it sounds super basic, but getting a scout while you're running through there is definitely good value. And here we go, the tower, they have taken out some more Lancers there, so Vortix still trading pretty heavily. He's on to 17 traders now, so these guys are getting wood and food as well, so the boom is real. And if we take a look at resources per minute, should have done that a while ago. Yeah, I know. And we can see the difference is significant here, even with these number of villagers. 1300, 1400 food, 1300 gold. It's because you don't need so many villagers on food. You can actually just then go heavy on gold, and then the passive just works so effectively. But Beasty actually out healing them with these monks as well, which is pretty funny under the Kurultai, where Vortix is trying to do the same, but he might be overcommitting a little bit. He does have the numbers, but if he loses too many of these Keshiks, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. More crossbows coming across, and Beasty just fully committing. But with the extra bonuses that they've got, he's got the extra ranged armor, and he's got extra damage against heavy. So these Keshiks are going to be absolutely melting to these guys. So unless Vortix can try and get some of these numbers up, I think he's going to be in a bit of trouble. And this Kurultai may be getting knighted in the face. As it were. But if we take a look at the rest of the map, Vortix is just trading like crazy, and in his base he's got the full pasture set up, food for days, and we've got more and more resources. Vortix trying to get some prayer tents out. I think there's one more relic over here and one in the center, which Vortix's army is doing, but I think these Keshiks are going to be having a bad time soon, and this is what I was worried about. Beasty now sieging it down with the knights. There's not going to be any damage from this, and Vortix can't really commit. He doesn't have the units to take on this knight mass, and even if he does, Beasty just pulls back to the TC and starts doing extra damage, and he's got his monks here to heal these guys up. He's keeping them up, and this is something that I think is going to make a big difference, because these knight numbers are not going down, and they are just getting bigger and bigger with the stack that's in queue over here. So we can see all of these stables are slowly printing them. Vortix trying to keep these guys alive and mass up himself. The numbers look good, but yeah, a lot of these crossbows, it's one of those things. 14 crossbows against 18 knights. Is he going to get caught out of position? Well, let's pull in the user interface and we can see what is cracking. Beasty trying to get a nice round. There we go. Look at that. Focusing down those Keshiks, breaking down those numbers, getting rid of the front line, and then on to the crossbows. The healing from the Kurultai not quite cutting it. Vortix kiting like crazy, trying to micro to focus on those low health knights as we move backwards away from the Kurultai. Now these guys still getting the healing. That aura is massive, but that's a lot of damage to those knights actually. I think Vortix is maximizing this as much as possible. He knows these crossbows are not going to be making it away, so he wants to try and take out as many of these knights as possible, keeping the Khan alive, somehow microing that, and he's trying to take out one more on the way out. Even the Khan is trying to get some of these low health ones, but Beasty is back in with a new front line. But look at that, they're so close to one-shotting, just not quite enough crossbows. And then the new fresh health ones come in as the Khan goes down. That's it. I was worried that we were getting an Imperial Age on top of that. But this is also going to be the big difference, that the gold income is about the same, but all of Beastie's techs are 15% cheaper. So as he gets all of his eco techs, which we can see he's doing loads, he's getting his military techs as well, but all of these are cheaper. So this is going to make a big difference for him overall compared to Vortix, where actually Vortix is doing okay, but the food income here is just absolutely crazy. And I think there's going to be a limit where this trade is just not going to be able to keep up, and Beastie is on top of it. He's going and raiding, and these eco numbers are going down, so it's fairly even at this point. But at the moment, whose eco units are more valuable? Is it the traders carrying all the resources, or is it the villagers that are the bystanders to the mana boom? I think we all know which ones are worth more in the grand scheme. So Vortix coming over, trying to defend it. Obviously he doesn't have walls, he's the Mongols, so these knights are able to just run away very easily into the stealth forest and try and get it away. Vortix doesn't have vision on this side of the map, so he's gonna lose them if he's not careful, and these guys are going to be able to do huge amount of damage to his trade line. But we can also see that there's a second contingent on the other side, Beastie splitting his attention and his focus there. And as well, he's got synchronized shot. The Yeomen are coming in on the back. Now this is interesting. It feels like Beastie's got this played. He's forced crossbows, because when you've got that many knights, Vortix doesn't really have another answer. So he's also taking out these Keshiks on this side as well, and these guys are tanking that damage. With that extra bonus, these knights are going to finish off those Keshiks, I think, which is very good for Beastie. And in come the knights into the base, and oh no, the villagers. The villagers, war crimes are happening, guys. Look away, look away. Vortix is pulling the villagers out from one side into the other side. He's got the surround by the Keshiks, and Beastie just decides he doesn't care. He's going to get a trader on the way out as well, as he storms out of the base and towards even more of the traders. But the Yeoman, I think the switch is very, very clever, because he's forced the crossbows, which means he knows what counters those. Yeomen, and they're so effective at countering crossbows as well, because of the synchronized shot, but also because of their extra range and mobility as well. So Beastie really does have the mobility, and Vortix knows he's in trouble. We've got the Ram Ranch outside the front. He's going to just go for it and try and take this out. The problem as well with this is the mana boom's in the back, and I think this is very clever. I think this is what a lot of players should be taking note of, is keeping the manas at the back so they're safe and secure, because then if somebody tries to ram it like this, Vortix is going in for a huge push. He's not going to be able to get the manas first, which means his income's not going to be effective. Even if the TC goes down and all the villagers go down, all of these guys are going to be printing resources endlessly. So this is definitely a really nice position. And the Kurultai being moved in just a little smidge. There's another Lancer over here that's really doing amazing work against these Keshiks. But the big fight coming in, crossbows under the Kurultai, Rams getting caught out by the Lancers, and the Yeoman there moving forward, trying to get a shot off. The money shot, is it going to get Vortix in the face? We're going to have to wait and see. But now, if this Kurultai goes down, Vortix is going to lose his advantage of position. This is where fighting here actually is pretty good for Vortix, but we can see if we move out, the Lancers are getting on top of the crossbows. Beastie does have that synchronized shot we're going to have to be really careful of, because if he gets on top of those crossbows together, both using the line formation, so that's going to mean it's a bit harder for Beastie to get a massive shot off, but the crossbows are clumping. Is he going to use it? The Lancers actually slowly being taken out by the crossbows. Oh, Vortix dodging that nice little pull there, moving away. So that's going to be needing to refresh. Farms going down, and Beastie taking some damage, but he's now moving into arrow slit territory. So these Keshiks will be fine, but the crossbows are going to struggle. Villagers pulling in now. They are going to try and burn down these Rams. Vortix knows what he needs to do. He's moving backwards here. He's trying to get to the manas, we can see, and Beastie is just massing up. These Yeomen doing huge damage, even against these Keshiks. Look at that target fire that they're doing on the backside. This is crazy. And now he's got the range. If Vortix tries to pull back, this is where he's in real trouble, because if he pulls back, Beastie's got the movement and he's got the range, so these crossbows are not going to be able to kite like they usually would. And because they're getting one shot as well, the Kurultai healing isn't doing it. Ram's taking out some of these manas. That's an expensive loss, but I think Beastie's economy can afford it at this stage, and he's really doing that. And oh my god, on the backside, he's also destroying the trade. Oh, the micro on this, like he's actually got lancers in there while he's defending, and Vortex calls it as his backline is smashed and the front line gets a money shot in the face. What a great game. House of Lancaster shown to its true strengths, and those lancers with that upgrade are absolutely incredible. But I hope you've enjoyed this game, and I will see you next time.